All the opportunities I've gotten till date, actually, even my current role, it was through referral.
Wow.
You can be the very best data scientist. You can be the very best ML engineer. But if you're not able to have relationship with other ML engineers and other data scientists and maintain those relationships professionally, you'd miss out on a lot of opportunities. The way most people think about networking is like, oh, if I'm going to an event, there's something I have to get out of this person, from this event, right? But in reality, it usually doesn't work like that. You want to identify people that you have similar interests with. Maybe have like a project that maybe you're working on, you can discuss with them, but have it on a professional level. Just keep in touch. People don't want to take loans.
I speak with some people and they are very averse to loans because why loan? You are owing somebody, you have bills sleep at night and the likes. And I'm like, do you see details of billionaires owing billions of money? Please go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's a cultural thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a tool. Like cash is a tool. I don't think it's not like the banks don't want to give out these loans to retail customers. It's just that they don't have, would I say, enough data
about that customer,
or they've not been conscious about gathering enough data on that particular customer to be able to have a snapshot of this person's financial history and giving out loans accordingly. That's where I would say the neobanks, Fairmoney, Carbon, they came in, they saw the opportunity, and today most of those, if not all, are still standing strong. That's the neobanks that took a data-driven approach where it's like, okay, this is ground zero. How do we get data for these customers? How do we use that data for decisioning? And I think it has paid off, for them, so far.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the data analytics world. My name is Ade-Akanbi and I'm here with you again on another episode of the Data and AI Gist. As you remember, we bring this gist to you to educate you and inform you of practices that happen in the data and AI world, and you get to learn from the leaders that have been in this space for quite some time. People actually building solutions that impact industries, impact the economy as well. On today's episode, we have a very interesting guest for you. If you ever considered taking a loan facility or operating your bank accounts, right, to a good extent, you'll probably be interested to learn of what our guest here is to say about how data and AI influences decisions regarding loans, regarding credits, regarding finances, and a couple of more insights that he will be sharing with us. I have with me here Mr. Femi Ogunbodede, who is the AI and ML lead at Indicina. Good to have you, Mr. Femi.
Thank you for having me, Philip.
All right, awesome. So before we go, do you have a nickname we can call you to make the gist, very lively?
I don't have any nickname, so Femi is fine.
Yeah,
Femi is fine.
Then. So who is Femi then?
Who is Femi? Well, professionally, Femi is a data scientist starting with, I'll say, experience of close to 7 years. I've worked mostly in the fintech space.
Okay.
Mostly on credits, like you rightly mentioned. And it's been an interesting journey, getting into data science, AI, ML, and just now being conscious of the number of years that I've also spent. I haven't really thought about it. But,
data people are you just want to get to work. You don't think of how many years you've spent, or if you're even talking on LinkedIn, they are very mellowed. Please go ahead.
Yeah, right. So it's just being conscious of the fact that I've been doing it for that long, although not too long. I mean, it's been an interesting ride because I kind of got in, when it was still very new, very early.
Yeah, the industry was at the infancy stage.
Yes. And, it's been an interesting ride, being a data scientist.
Oh, awesome. Do you have any hobbies just to put it out there?
Well,
people see what it is, even though if they are not looking at their Python script.
Well, I mean, outside of work, I enjoy running. So I mean, till date, I've run 2 marathons.
Wow.
Yeah, I've run 2 marathons. I enjoy listening to music, enjoying a nice cup of coffee. Yeah.
Awesome. So, you mentioned that you spent about 8-7 years in this space, AI and ML. So what would you say has been some of your proudest moments in this career?
So my proudest moment in this career is I would say there's a product that the company I'm currently working with that we've developed and we've sold to a couple of clients. And I think my proudest moment is taking that product from just being an idea from the product team at the time. We kind of saw the need for it. And, something that we tried out. And, today it's serving, a lot of customers and, it's
awesome.
It's doing numbers. So
that's incredible. Yeah. And truly it makes a lot of sense. And, when you see that value, right, from something that was just an idea that you were tinkering on, and it then becomes something that is actually making impact that you can see, in the industry as well. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned that you've brought a product to life. I'll call it an AI product because it's definitely, has to deal with data and providing some intelligence, albeit artificial. Why haven't we had an AI product like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Perplexity, Cloud, and a lot of these tools? Why haven't we had such in Africa, in your opinion? What do you think?
In Africa, I think I can speak to maybe Africa at large, but Nigeria specifically. I think that first off, it requires a ton of research. There's a lot of effort that went into researching these things. Whether it's ChatGPT or ChatGPT is the most popular one.
Yes, it is. Blew the lead on in this our industry.
Yes, that's when everybody started looking at AI like, this is interesting. Yeah. And from the little I know that for ChatGPT, when they started the company OpenAI, they didn't really have a product in mind. They just got the best people in the world. Yeah. And they're like, we have to research something, like just researching AI and its application, and they landed with ChatGPT. So research
product, true.
Research, I think it's research heavy first to be able to have our own ChatGPT.
And is that the reason or one of the reasons?
It's one of the contributing reasons. So I don't know that we have like a research culture. Again, I'm speaking specifically to Nigeria. And I mean, understandably so, most of the products that are out there are solving an immediate need. And that's what most people would gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And, there's just not so much effort, going into research, having like a very long-term view of something. That's not to say that there aren't people that are not researching or conducting research in certain areas, but by and large, we don't have that company that just focus 100%
for 5 years, and investment. So I remember then, even the old story with how Elon Musk actually came on board with OpenAI, gave them $100 million. No, I don't know so many investors in Africa or probably even currently that would just give you $100 million.
Yeah, I mean,
for an African AI product like ChatGPT. Interesting. Any other thoughts on that you think is the reason why?
I think also I'd say data. Having access to, data at scale. Not just data that is relative to our own use case.
Useful too.
Yeah, useful data, very useful data, because a lot of data.
There's data and there's data. Oh.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
So research data, and maybe finally I would say, somebody just, maybe, again, it might be an individual, it might be a company, a small organization, but just having that company that is, even if they have a product that is currently out there, just dedicating, let's say, team resources, towards AI research. Okay, this is a problem that we are facing. They can have another R&D arm, that goes into that. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there was actually an R&D startup in Lagos at some point a few years ago, InstaDeep.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you'd have heard of InstaDeep. I think they've already exited right now. Yeah, but InstaDeep was that one company that they were purely focused on research, and it has paid off for them now.
So probably if an investor is listening to us out there, please invest in AI research.
Yes, please.
And they don't come with immediate returns, so they have to understand that as well.
Very much so.
Okay.
Very much so.
So, but let's move away from even the core, somewhat technical conversation. How do you think AI can accelerate economic inclusion? Right. Let's start to get into even some of the things you do at Indicina. Right. How can the AI especially enable us as a people into this economic inclusion, nobody's left out and everybody's carried along, everybody enjoys a particular service or series of services. What are your thoughts here?
Yes, so economic inclusion, how can AI help? I think that prior to AI, data science has kind of filled that role, although in a limited capacity. So I say that because, so just backtracking, economic inclusion, basically giving access to people that are previously excluded, access to financial services, and one of the most pressing or one of the most important financial services will be credit. And I'm not just saying that because I work in credit, I think that credit is very important to enable people to be able to, for example, a business owner to be able to take on opportunities that maybe doesn't have immediate cash for.
Or even wants to scale.
Even wants to scale. So credit is very important. And prior to like 5 years ago, retail credits as it is, it wasn't exactly a thing. I think it was a mix of a cultural thing. People don't want to take loans because they feel like, if you're taking loans.
Even till now, I speak with some people and they are very averse to loans because why loans? You're owing somebody, why would you sleep at night and the likes? And I'm like, do you see details of billionaires owing billions of money? Please go ahead.
I mean, you're right. It's a cultural thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a tool, like cash is a tool.
Yeah.
And, so there's the cultural side of things. There's also it's not like, I don't think it's not like the banks don't want to give out these loans to retail customers. It's just that they don't have, would I say, enough data
about that customer,
or they've not been conscious about gathering enough data on that particular customer to be able to have a snapshot of this person's financial history and giving out loans accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, just to add to that.
Okay.
I mean, banks were giving out loans, retail loans, but not as much as you'd expect. So that's where I would say the neobanks, Fairmoney, Carbon, they came in, they saw the opportunity, and today most of those, if not all, are still, standing strong. That's the neobanks that took a data-driven approach where it's like, okay, this is ground zero. How do we get data for these customers? How do we use that data for decisioning? And I think it has paid off, for them, so far. So that's on the data science side of things. For AI, how can AI accelerate that even further? I think right now AI would make, things a lot more easier and faster, for existing players. So players, I mean, the neobanks, the traditional banks.
Gather this data.
That they've gathered this data.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I say people always think AI is something that you just do on its own. No, you actually have to lay on top of their data.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, there's a lot of data has been captured, like you rightly mentioned, for the neobanks, even for the traditional banks, they even have way more data than, these neobanks have. They have a ton of data that they've gathered.
Yeah. As somebody that's worked in banks before, I know.
Right. So you have, a lot of data right now. The models that are out there, the foundational models they are very good enough, to have like a baseline, something that works. For our use case, you might have to fine tune it to get, more performance.
True.
But as it is right now, there's a lot that you can get out of the box foundation model, for the decisioning process, for lending.
So thank you for that. So how then do we balance global best practices in data and AI and ML, with the reality of Nigerians, especially with regards to accessing these credit facilities or, financial inclusion too?
Okay. I think there are two things. The first would be data privacy. Data privacy is very important, because financial information, financial data is very sensitive.
Very sensitive.
Very, very sensitive. So there has to be a lot of focus on data privacy. So that's the first thing. Making sure that, first off, if you are going to use anybody's data for, let's say, modeling or whatnot, PII, personally identifiable information is taken out. I think that's very important. The next would be fairness. Fairness in the sense that you don't want to use these models, discriminately. You don't want to take somebody's data as it is and just feed it to a foundation model and say, oh, analyze this customer and give me like a score that I can use to gauge this person. You are leaving the decision making solely up to the foundation models. It's easy to see foundation models or the LLMs as, very, very good models. Like they are kind of magical and want to try out a lot of things. But at the end of the day, this is affecting like real people. And, I think fairness and explainability. So in whatever capacity you're going to be using these models, you need to be able to account for the decision-making process. Like, how does that factor into the decision-making process? How do you make sure that customers are not unfairly or discriminated, especially based on things that they can't really control? I mean, yes, you want to discriminate based on their spending behavior.
Yeah.
You want to discriminate based on their repayment behavior. For certain things like, demography, gender, things that don't really...
It's not of their doing.
It's not of their doing, yeah. So I think...
So imagine you just say, oh, because I've seen data that people from a particular region of a country don't pay their loans on time. So you just blacklist or feed all that in. And so anybody from that region is affected because because they're from that region, not because of other factors like actually how do they pay back the loans.
Exactly. That's spot on. So it's up to the decision makers. It's up to people that are building these things, building these technologies to make sure that they put in the efforts to go the extra mile and make sure that everybody has a fair shot at getting this this loans.
I like what you mentioned, especially regarding fairness and data privacy, and I think all that sits under AI governance. We would briefly, if time permits, talk briefly about AI governance, and I would like to hear your thoughts on that. But in regards to AI solutions, which do you see? Which have you seen most significant impact on businesses in Africa in terms of AI solutions? What forms of AI solutions have you come across in your work?
I think it still goes to credits, but let's not talk about credit so much.
Okay.
I would say another application I've seen would be document analysis.
Okay.
A lot of if you enter like a financial institution or you walk into any institution really that you need to process some information, there's a very, very high chance that a lot of that information would be stored or has to be retrieved in a PDF format or a format that is not native to computer systems like JSON, for example. So a lot of documents out there, whether it's insurance, whether it's bank statements, it's mostly in PDF. And up until now, it's been a hassle trying to extract all of that information from PDFs. There's a certain level of accuracy you can get with, out of the box PDF extraction tools. And,
yes, true.
There are AI models, computer AI document image models that have significantly improved that. So it's kind of like an underrated application, I would say. Like, we don't think about it, but I think it would help like a lot of use cases, organizations,
yes,
going forward.
And although that is very true, I think organizations too need to even start to think digital. Everybody talks about it, but they actually need to. So you see some organizations doing things with paper, right? Where it's still very document data is still in paper. The signed document is still in paper and things like that. You have to probably then find a way to make it digital first before you can then even feed it into something that you can then use to do decisions later. So yeah, it's a step. But usually I've seen situations where people just, want to build AI. They want to bring AI into their company and their things are still in paper. They don't even have the infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
So it makes the conversation really interesting, and we then backtrack to say, let's start to break these things down. So let's talk about AI and ML adoption in industries in Nigeria. Which industries do you see that are catching up with adoption? Not the ones that have caught up. I know for a fact that finance industry, they are probably the biggest users of AI and ML in Nigeria today. I don't know, maybe telecoms too. I'm not very vast in that industry, but which industries do you think is ripe and the ones that are also rising up?
I would say marketing. Marketing. Marketing because I've worked at like a marketing company. So
Okay.
my first ever job was with a marketing technology company at the time.
Awesome.
And they wanted to use data to be able to know who to market certain products to.
Which is a very fantastic use case.
Very, very fantastic use case. So I think that now that we've gotten to a point where there's a lot of data out there, everybody's kind of AI literate. They know what these things can do, at least to a certain level. And access to these models are getting cheaper every day. A lot of, I'd say, marketing organizations or people that have like a marketing use case are beginning to say, okay, how can we use these models to better understand our customers, whether it's what are they spending on, where are they spending, what have they bought in the past, what are they trying to buy. So I think that's one area that we would see adoption coming up
very well, and which is incredible because imagine you as somebody who's a student still trying to find your next bearing, and somebody's marketing to come buy a $500 million naira house, and because probably they got your data in an activation sometime or something, and it just such a message is completely useless to you.
Yeah.
Right. For the organization doing those messaging, they are spending resources.
Yeah.
So imagine you are targeting the right audiences. You as a student, what is unique to you that I can sell to you? What is your pertinent need? So let's quickly talk about AI governance. In your opinion, what do you explain that to us? Okay. And how do you see that even become more adopted as AI and ML is growing in Nigeria?
Okay, so again, just backtracking on what I said initially, privacy. I think privacy is very, very important. It's very easy to just forget that all of this data that is being generated is generated by customers, generated by users,
humans.
It's generated by human beings, and a lot of this data has sensitive information, whether it's what they are spending on. If you're in the health sector, for example, it's information about the customer's health records. So governance really is saying that before we even do anything with the data, that should be ground zero. That should be the very, very first thing we should be thinking about: privacy. Making sure that whoever has access to that data has the right level of authentication to be able to access that data, and even the level of detail that person should be able to access should be only limited to what the task is needed for. Everything like personal information should, go out. So privacy, the first thing. Again, it sounds like I'm going back on my previous points, but fairness.
Those are the tenets, truly. And it's good for us to continue to reinforce it because, we are getting into a world where this will become commonplace. So we need to start talking about these things early.
Yes. Yes. So fairness, because a lot of these systems, you are going to be, at the end of the day, you're going to be making decisions based on what this model, is telling you.
Yes.
And I'm a very strong believer that, if you're a decision maker, you need to be held accountable. Whatever goes right, especially whatever goes wrong, like you're going to be held accountable. So at the end of the day,
when things even go right, so the leader takes the glory, or goal represents the team to take the glory.
Right.
So it's right for the other one to happen.
Yeah, when it goes wrong, you be the very first point of contact, and obviously we can't hold the models accountable. Like the model is just an abstraction.
Yeah.
So it's the people that are using this technology that would be held accountable. So, just having that mindset that, whatever happens further down the line with this decision, eventually I'll be held accountable for it. Yeah. And that should guide, how we decide to use these technologies. I'm speaking both as AI, ML professionals, and even for key stakeholders that may be not so close to the technology. For key stakeholders, they can also have they have a certain level of accountability that they need to be held up to. Maybe not as, from the public perception, it would be a very, very high level of accountability. But in reality, it's the AI ML engineers that are actually the very, very closest to it. So Why from the public, it seems like, the executives, management they would be held responsible, but in turn, the management and the executives have even a greater, responsibility to hold the engineers and the developers accountable.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. But before we go on, I was just going to add that with provisions like the National AI Strategy, data, NDPA, right? They are already things in place, and actually they are enforceable.
Yeah.
Right now, they are now enforceable. So organizations need to start to look into these things, especially if you use people's data for predictive modeling, you feed it into anything for your generative AI as well and the likes, because these things needs to be said.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move away a bit from AI and ML, and let's move into your actual day-to-day life.
Okay.
Share with people, because there may be people out there too that want to learn from your expertise, right?
Yeah.
You've been in this space for quite some years. So share, what do you think, or what are some of your mistakes that you made early on in your career, right? And what did you learn from them, so that people out there can also, avoid such mistakes and they're able to grow rapidly as well.
Okay. So I think first of all, I think it's very easy to get excited about the problems that you're solving and think that, you can do a lot of things. You get the data, you have all of these ideas, what you can do.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get caught in that trap of anything is possible.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're working most times you're working in a business domain where there are hard rules, where there's expectations, where there's timelines. And I think one trap that I personally have, fallen into is thinking that I can do everything, when in reality I'm very limited.
Yeah.
Resources are limited, time is limited.
Yeah.
So not just falling into that trap of thinking, anything is possible, yes, but within a certain...
The confines of the use case, the confines of the clientele, the confines of the industry as well.
Yeah, confines of timelines. Like there's just a lot of confines. So I think my advice, or what I've learned, is first things first, before I even get into whatever it is, whether it's modeling, whether it's trying to analyze the data, is have a very good understanding of what the confines are, what are the hard rules, what are the things that are flexible, timelines, resources, the data itself, like just establishing all those things first. Very, very, very important.
Great.
Although it sounds boring.
Yeah.
Sounds boring, but it's very much needed.
All right. So, just before we go now, what are some of the things you've learned from a project that you worked on that failed?
Okay. I'll say scoping the project. I had to work on a very, a moonshot, I would say, project.
Okay.
It was supposed to be like a very, very big project at the time. And, I think, yes, the project at the time wasn't exactly, it wasn't an urgent priority at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
So we had that, okay, let's get it done in 6 months. So we felt like, it's possible, right?
Such delusions.
It's possible.
Such
so yeah.
delusions, man.
I know. So it's like, okay, 6 months. Yes, we can definitely do this. So, I didn't do well to scope out what we would have delivered. Those little moving parts.
You can't go to the next one without that first one being completed.
Exactly. And, we got almost to the 6-month mark, and we're like, what's happening? We've done this, yes, but like, this is not working. How do we make, this unit and this unit work together, to produce the results? And in retrospect, I think, what I'd have done differently is to start very small, like with the very, very functional requirements.
In the product world, we call it an MVP.
Right.
Or maybe even something as little as, there's POC.
POC, right.
Yes.
POC. Yeah, yes.
So, Imagine you just like, even before an MVP, you like get a POC out, a proof of concept that actually this is something that can work. Then we go, okay, let's build the minute possible way that can make the product still work.
Yes.
And then get at it and start to scale.
Yes. I agree. Yeah. So now that I mentioned, I think POC would have been a very, very good place to start at the time. But I think again, because it wasn't a very urgent project. We had about 6 months to get it done. We didn't really bother about, let's have a POC first, and we can ramp up on that. Yeah. I just went straight into building.
Head on. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much once again, Femi. But before we go, we do something with our guests.
Okay.
It's a question we always ask as the last question. What would you say you did early on in your career that was beneficial and sort of set you onto this trajectory of what you do now? We're discussing earlier, and you said you had been on this current role for about 5 years. That's quite impressive, actually. It's not so commonplace you hear such, to be candid.
Yeah.
Right. So what would you say has helped you early on? So probably somebody out there listening to be able to, latch on to that advice and help their career as well.
Sure. I think it's a good question. I think looking back, relationships with other professionals, relationship with other people. So how I was able to actually make land my first job was through somebody I had met at a conference, I think at the time, maybe DSN or something, at a conference or on Twitter. I can't remember. But it was through that relationship that I made and established. And I mean, yes, there's a place for networking, but I think networking, the way most people think about networking is like, if I'm going to an event, there's something I have to get out of this person, from this event, right? Yeah. But in reality, it usually doesn't work like that. You want to identify people that you have similar interests with, and you maybe have like a project that maybe you're working on, you can discuss with them, but have it on a professional level, and just keep in touch. And, most of the opportunities I've seen out there are usually due to referrals. So you can be the very best data scientist. You can be the very best ML engineer. But if you're not able to have relationship with other ML engineers and other data scientists and maintain those relationships professionally, you'd miss out on a lot of opportunities. All the opportunities I've gotten till date, actually. Even my current role, it was through referral.
Wow. Yeah. And I say to people, thank you very much for that. I say to people that in this space, because of the level of work needed, everybody wants to work with people they can trust. From the founders to the CEOs to the head of the team, everybody wants to be sure that this person can actually deliver this work. Yeah. So you've met somebody at the conference, you guys have been together, you've been friends for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and the person can vouch to your capability.
Yes.
And he's saying, I know this person, he can do this job. And, they bring you on into an interview and the likes, and everything then goes well. So very, very candid advice. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Just to add to that, I think it's also important that, when you've gotten these opportunities, I think it's important to pay it forward.
Yeah.
Because somebody, helped you in. Yeah. So you have to pay it forward, and also as much as possible, help other people.
I agree with you.
Whether it's referrals.
Yes. And that's a very wonderful advice, because I remember even myself having to figure a lot of things out in the early stages, especially when I wanted to combine two different worlds together. Product management is in its own world.
Yeah.
Data science is still in its own world, and I wanted to just do that together. I couldn't figure it out, right? But I started to take it one step at a time. I was trying to reach out to people. I couldn't find anybody that had done that kind of thing in Nigeria. The people I found were from Germany, America. I was reaching out to them on LinkedIn. Many would not respond to me. Few did, and they were very helpful. And it got to a point one day I just said, why am I actually even still looking for a mentorship when I've already done a couple of things? I figured at least some things out. Yeah. Let me start to even just share what I've done and just expand from there. And today I talk on AI product management, which is a very cool niche.
Yeah.
At the time I didn't know that AI would even blow up to what it is today.
Right.
Which even also leads to what we do now, where we are trying to even educate people, to not probably go head onto some things like we did. Yeah. We're writing so many certifications, reading so many things just because we wanted to figure it all out. Thank you very much for coming on board today.
Thank you.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is still the Data and AI Gist, and we have been speaking with Mr. Femi Ogunbodede, who is the ML and AI lead at Indicina. a credit
credit risk analyst.
Yes, credit risk analysis company. Yeah. That's the way to put it. All right. So as we like to say, if you're out there listening to us, share this to somebody you think it will be useful for. Comment, like, and remember, like we say, keep being curious, keep questioning. Till we see you another time on another episode. Bye for now.